Sangu, a coastal stretch along Bali's southwest shore, where rice paddies meet the restless Indian Ocean. Here, the rhythm of life moves to a different beat, not hurried, yet never still. The air carries the scent of salt and frangipani, mixing with the aroma of freshly ground coffee drifting from the open fronts of stylish cafés. It is a place where tradition and modernity lean easily against one another, as if they've been longtime friends. From above, the view is a mosaic, emerald green rice terraces sliced by narrow dirt paths, dotted with the tall silhouettes of palm trees swaying in the sea breeze. Between them, ribbons of asphalt weave through small villages and clusters of shops, leading toward the coastline. The shore itself is a living border. On one side, black volcanic sand warmed by the sun; on the other, the infinite blue horizon. Sangu is not a single village but a patchwork of small communities, Bata Bolong, Barawa, Pararin, and each with its own personality, yet all bound by the same easygoing spirit. The streets hum with scooters, the lifeblood of Balinese transport. Riders, both locals and visitors, navigate with effortless balance, swerving past small offerings laid on the ground, square palm leaf trays filled with flowers, rice, and incense, left as daily prayers to the gods. The first impression is one of contrasts. A centuries-old temple wall might stand right next to a surfboard rental shop. A farmer in a conical hat tends to his rice field while, just a few meters away, digital nomads tap on laptops in open-air co-working spaces. The soundscape blends it all: the splash of waves, the distant crow of a rooster, the murmur of conversations in a dozen different languages. Daylight in Sangu has its own texture. The mornings are soft and golden, filtering gently through the haze rising off the fields. Sunlight reflects off scooter mirrors, catches in the glint of water as a farmer irrigates his crops, and dances across the wet sand as the tide retreats. Even in these first moments, Sangu seems to promise an unhurried discovery, a place where you can take your time, let the details reveal themselves. Along the roadsides, small warungs, family-run eateries, display handwritten menus on chalkboards, offering nasi campur, mie goreng, and fresh coconut water served straight from the shell. The owners greet passers-by with a warm selamat pagi, their smiles genuine and unforced. These gestures, repeated countless times each day, are part of the invisible thread that holds the community together. Then there are the cafés, not just places to drink coffee, but meeting points, creative hubs, and cultural crossroads. Inside, bamboo ceilings and rattan furniture frame open spaces filled with natural light. Surfers discuss the morning swell, travelers trade tips on the best sunset spots, and locals quietly work on laptops while sipping slow-poured brews. The decor often blends tropical plants with murals of Balinese deities or bold, modern street art, a visual reminder of Sangu's ability to honor its roots while embracing the new. On the beaches, the sand is darker than in other parts of Bali, the result of ancient volcanic activity. This black gold shoreline stretches for kilometers, offering space for both quiet solitude and buzzing social gatherings. In the distance, surfers paddle out beyond the break, their silhouettes framed against rolling waves. Some are seasoned locals who read the ocean like an open book, others are beginners, guided patiently by instructors who have taught countless newcomers the dance of the board and the wave. Everywhere you look, there's a sense of movement, not rushed, but constant. Children chase kites across open fields. Artists paint murals on concrete walls. Dogs wander the beach freely, tails wagging, as if they, too, have somewhere important to be. The scent of incense lingers in the air from morning offerings, curling gently upward before vanishing into the bright sky. Sangu also wears its imperfections openly. The narrow roads can become crowded, especially as the day goes on. Construction is a constant presence. New villas and cafés rise beside traditional homes, reshaping the skyline in subtle but noticeable ways. And yet, these changes seem to coexist with the slower, older rhythms of the village. For every trendy beach club, there's a quiet corner where time feels suspended, where the hum of cicadas fills the air and nothing much seems to happen at all. For first-time visitors, Sangu can be disorienting in the best possible way. It doesn't present itself as a neatly packaged tourist attraction. Instead, it offers glimpses, fleeting moments that invite you to look closer. A farmer's weathered hands planting rice seedlings in perfect rows. A child in a school uniform riding pillion on a scooter, waving at strangers. A street vendor slicing tropical fruit into neat, fragrant wedges. These fragments add up to something richer than a postcard perfect image, a living, breathing community that happens to exist alongside a vibrant, ever-changing visitor culture. As the day begins, there is a subtle shift in energy. Morning's quiet gives way to the hum of daily activity. Scooters become more frequent, surfboards strapped to their sides. Beachside vendors set out umbrellas and beanbags, preparing for the afternoon crowds. The ocean grows busier too, waves catching the light in glints of white and silver. And in the background, always, is that easy rhythm, the unspoken agreement between land, sea, and people that this place will remain a sanctuary for those who move slowly enough to see it. Sangu's charm lies not just in what it shows, but in what it allows you to feel. It invites you to notice the small things, the texture of volcanic sand underfoot, the rustle of palm leaves overhead, the way sunlight turns everything it touches into gold. And in these details, you begin to understand why so many people come here intending to stay for a week, and end up finding reasons to stay much longer. For now, the journey through Sangu is just beginning. The surf is building, the cafés are filling, and the promise of discovery lies in every narrow lane and every stretch of open beach. In Sangu, the sea is not just a backdrop, it is the heartbeat. Every morning, before the sun climbs high, the shoreline comes alive with figures moving toward the water. Boards under their arms, feet bare against the cool sand, they walk with an unspoken purpose, to meet the waves. The surf here is both invitation and challenge. Long, rolling breaks make Sangu a playground for those learning the sport, while the outer reef offers more demanding swells for experienced riders. Bata Bolong, with its wide, forgiving waves, draws beginners and longboarders. Just a short ride away, Echo Beach demands sharper reflexes and a confident stance. And somewhere in between, Barawa offers a balance, a spot where novices and veterans share the same lineup. Waiting for the perfect set, on the water, time slows. Surfers paddle patiently, scanning the horizon for the telltale lift of an approaching wave. There is a silent code in this lineup, a nod of respect, a yielding of space, a shared celebration when someone rides a wave all the way to shore. Out here, language barriers dissolve. The ocean speaks in a tongue everyone understands, the soundscape shifts as you step closer to the water. The rush and crash of waves drowns out the hum of scooters from the road behind. Seabirds wheel overhead, calling out in sharp bursts before diving toward the surface. The salt hangs thick in the air, clinging to skin and hair, leaving that unmistakable texture that every surfer knows well. The beach is not only for those who ride. On the sand, spectators gather, some sitting on weathered wooden benches, others sprawled on colorful sarongs. Friends cheer when a rider catches a clean wave, laughing when they wipe out spectacularly. Photographers crouch low with long lenses, capturing moments that will later be shared across the digital world, feeding Sangu's image as a surf paradise. Near the shore, surf schools operate like small, joyful armies. Instructors stand knee-deep in the water, calling out encouragement and giving last-minute tips. Their students, wide-eyed, wobbly, determined, clutch foam boards and paddle toward their first attempts. Cheers erupt when someone manages to stand, if only for a second, riding the whitewater in a rush of exhilaration. It is in these moments that the culture of Sangu's coast is most visible, a place where skill is respected, but enthusiasm is celebrated even more. As the morning progresses, the beach becomes a tapestry of activity. Vendors push carts offering cold coconuts, their tops sliced open with swift, practiced strokes. The sweet water inside offers instant relief from the tropical heat. Others sell fried snacks wrapped in paper. Ice cream cones that melt almost before you take a bite, or sarongs in bright, batik patterns. These small interactions, the quick exchange of coins, the polite terra makasi, form the rhythm between sets of waves. Alongside the sand, the beachfront cafés begin to fill. Many have open decks where you can sip a coffee while watching the surf just meters away. Wooden signs display chalkboard menus, smoothie bowls topped with dragon fruit, avocado toast sprinkled with sesame seeds, iced lattes served in mason jars. Some cafés double as surf shops, with racks of boards standing ready for rent or sale. Here, conversations drift easily between locals and visitors, one table discussing the morning tide, another sharing tips on the best sunset spots. Despite its growing popularity, the surf culture in Sangu retains a certain humility. The veterans, some of whom have been riding these waves for decades, share the space with newcomers without arrogance. The ocean has a way of keeping egos in check. No matter your skill, it will humble you sooner or later. And when it does, the community here tends to meet that moment with laughter, encouragement, and another push back into the water. The coast also offers quieter moments away from the main breaks. Walk a little further down from the busiest spots, and the shoreline opens up into stretches of almost empty sand. Here, fishermen mend their nets in the shade of makeshift shelters, their weathered hands moving with practiced precision. Small boats bob gently in the shallows, waiting for the tide to turn. In these corners, the relationship with the sea is older, rooted in subsistence rather than sport. As midday approaches, the character of the beach changes again. The heat intensifies, the sand warms beneath bare feet, and more people retreat to shaded spots. The surfers who braved the dawn session now sit in beach cafés, replaying their rides in animated retellings. Others prepare for the afternoon swell, waxing boards under the shade of palm fronds. Scanning the horizon for signs of change in the wind and tide, the tide itself becomes part of the day's narrative. When it recedes, the wet sand reflects the sky like a mirror, doubling the clouds and palm trees in perfect symmetry. Children chase small crabs darting into their burrows. Dogs, a common sight in Sangu, run freely, their paws splashing through the shallows, their owners watching from a distance with easy smiles. Here, the connection to the ocean is more than recreation. For many, it is a form of meditation, the repetition of paddling out, waiting, catching a wave, and starting again. The horizon becomes a moving target, always shifting, always offering something new. And in the moments between rides, when the water is calm and the sun is warm on your back, there is a sense of belonging not just to a place, but to the larger rhythm of the sea. By the time the afternoon swell begins, the beach is a stage again. Riders carve arcs across the face of the waves, water spraying in luminous droplets that catch the light. Spectators cheer, cameras click, and the air hums with the shared energy of the crowd. This is Sangu's coastal life at its most alive, a fusion of sport, community, and the simple joy of being by the sea. As the sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the sand, the surfers begin to make their way back to shore. Boards are rinsed and stacked, conversations drift toward evening plans, and the beach slowly returns to the quieter rhythm it began with. The waves keep rolling in, steady and unending, as they have for centuries, an eternal invitation for those who wish to return tomorrow. In Sangu, the day is often measured not just by the tides, but by the meals in between. Food here is more than sustenance, it is a meeting point, a celebration, a conversation carried on in flavors. From roadside warungs to airy beachfront cafés, each meal tells a story about this village and the people who pass through it. The morning begins with a choice, the traditional or the modern. At the small warungs tucked beside the road, breakfast might mean a plate of nasi campur, a mix of rice, vegetables, fried tempeh, and perhaps a piece of grilled chicken or spicy sambal egg. The colors are vivid, the flavors bold and balanced, sweet from coconut milk, salty from fried anchovies, heat from chili paste. It is the kind of meal that speaks of home cooking and centuries-old traditions. Elsewhere, the new Sangu reveals itself in cafés where the breakfast menu could be from anywhere in the world. Smoothie bowls arrive as works of art, dragon fruit puree swirled with yogurt, topped with sliced banana, shredded coconut, and edible flowers. The coffee is brewed with meticulous care, sometimes through slow drip filters, sometimes pulled into creamy lattes by baristas who know each regular by name. Here, mornings stretch out, as travelers open laptops or linger over conversation, the hours passing unnoticed. This contrast, the humble warung and the curated café, is part of what defines Sangu's culinary identity. The two worlds don't compete, they coexist, each drawing its own crowd, each feeding into the rhythm of the day. Mid-morning, the streets fill with the sense of frying garlic, boiling broth, and freshly baked bread. Vendors push carts along the road, offering snacks to passers-by. One might be selling pisang goreng, bananas coated in batter and fried until golden, the crisp exterior giving way to soft, sweet fruit inside. Another cart might be ladling steaming bowls of bakso, a comforting soup with meatballs, noodles, and vegetables, served with a squeeze of lime and a dash of chili sauce. Markets, too, become part of the day's feast. In the covered stalls, vendors arrange tropical fruit in neat pyramids, mangoes the color of late afternoon sun, papayas heavy and fragrant, rambutans like bright red sea urchins with sweet white flesh hidden inside. Bargaining is part of the experience, not in a hard-edged way, but as a friendly exchange, a dance between customer and seller. By midday, the heat presses down, and food becomes both refreshment and escape. Ice-cold coconuts are split open with a quick swing of a machete, the clear water inside offering instant relief. For those seeking something heartier, the menus expand, mie goreng with its tangled noodles and savory sweet sauce. satay skewers grilled over open flames, brushed with a peanut chili glaze, gado-gado salads dressed in rich peanut sauce, where crisp vegetables meet warm, boiled egg and tofu. But Sangu's culinary scene is not limited to Indonesia's own traditions. Years of travelers settling here have brought influences from far and wide. Mexican taquerias serve fish tacos with lime and coriander. Italian trattorias bake thin-crust pizzas in wood-fired ovens. Japanese-inspired kitchens roll sushi filled with local tuna, avocado, and cucumber, pairing them with miso soup and matcha tea. The mix feels natural here, as if the village itself has adopted an open-table philosophy: everyone is welcome. Every cuisine can find a place. Late afternoon is a quiet time in the cafés. Sunlight angles through the open windows, catching on the steam rising from mugs. It's a moment for slow eating: banana pancakes with palm sugar syrup, avocado toast dusted with chili flakes, slices of banana bread served still warm from the oven. Conversations drift in multiple languages: English, Indonesian, French, Russian, blending into the gentle background hum of blenders, espresso machines, and the occasional laughter from a nearby table. The beachfront warungs offer a different experience. Plastic chairs sink slightly into the sand, and tables are set just steps from the waterline. Here, a plate of fried rice comes with an uninterrupted view of the surf, and the soundtrack is the rhythmic pull of waves meeting the shore. Families share grilled fish fresh from the morning catch, the skin crisped over charcoal, the flesh tender and smoky. The meal feels timeless, unchanged by the passing of years or the arrival of trends. As evening approaches, Sangu's food scene shifts once again. The night markets wake up, their stalls glowing under strings of bare light bulbs. The air is thick with the scent of grilled meat, frying dough, and the occasional drift of incense from a nearby temple. Here, dining is casual, almost theatrical: dishes prepared right in front of you, flames leaping from woks, ingredients chopped and tossed with practiced speed. For some, dinner is found in one of the stylish restaurants along Bata Bolong, where chefs reimagine traditional Balinese dishes with modern techniques, plating them like works of art. For others, it's a paper-wrapped parcel of nasi goreng from a roadside stand, eaten sitting on a low wall with friends, watching the endless flow of scooters pass by. And what ties all of this together, the humble and the refined, the local and the global, is the sense of connection. In Sangu, meals are rarely solitary. Even a quick snack often comes with a conversation, a shared table, or a nod of recognition from someone you saw earlier in the day. Food is a way of participating in the life of the village, whether you've been here for years or have just arrived this morning, and perhaps that is why the memory of Sangu's food lingers long after you've left. It is not just about taste, though the tastes are vivid and unforgettable. It is about the moments around the meal: the warm greeting from the warung owner, the shared smile over a first sip of coffee, the sound of waves in the background as you finish the last bite. Each dish becomes a marker, a small anchor in the flow of time, reminding you of a place where eating well is simply part of living well. Life in Sangu unfolds in layers, some visible at a glance, others revealed slowly to those who take the time to look closer. Beneath the hum of cafes and the rhythm of the surf, there is a heartbeat shaped by tradition, faith, and the small daily rituals that connect people to their land and to one another. On almost every street, you'll find small square trays made of palm leaves, each holding an offering of flowers, rice, and a stick of incense. These are kanang sari, placed each morning as a gesture of gratitude to the gods. Sometimes they rest on small platforms or temple steps, but often they lie directly on the ground, at the entrance to a shop, beside the front wheel of a parked scooter, or in the middle of a driveway. The scent of incense mingles with the smell of roasting coffee or ocean salt, a reminder that in Sangu, the spiritual and the everyday share the same space. The temples are everywhere, some grand and elaborately carved, others modest and tucked into the corner of a family compound. In the larger pura, stone guardians stand watch at the gates, their features softened by moss and time. Cloth wraps their lower halves, patterned in black and white check, a symbol of the balance between good and evil. Inside, courtyards open to the sky, where ceremonies unfold in waves of color: women in lace blouses and bright sarongs, men in crisp shirts and traditional headcloths. Priests scattering holy water with small bundles of leaves. These ceremonies are not staged for visitors, they are part of the calendar that shapes Balinese life. Births, weddings, temple anniversaries, harvest celebrations, each comes with its own set of offerings, dances, and prayers. Even on an ordinary day, you might round a corner to find a street closed for a procession, the road filled with music, chanting, and the rhythmic beat of drums. Scooters wait patiently at the edges until the last dancer passes, and then life flows on as before, beyond the temples. Sangu's local. Local life is written into its markets. In the early morning, before the cafés have opened their doors, vendors lay out their produce under simple tarpaulin roofs. The stalls are a feast for the senses, the sharp green of fresh herbs, the deep orange of chilies, the metallic glint of fish laid on ice. Shoppers move slowly, weighing fruit in their hands, bargaining with quiet good humor. The market is more than a place to buy food, it is a place where news is exchanged, where friendships are renewed in the space between the scales and the cash drawer. Scooters are the lifeblood of movement here, and their constant presence is part of Sangu's character. Entire families ride together, a father steering, a mother sitting side saddle behind him, a child balanced between them, holding a school bag. Boards are carried sideways for surf sessions, baskets of groceries hang from handlebars, and sometimes even a sleeping dog rides pillion without concern. The roads are narrow, the traffic sometimes chaotic, but the flow has its own logic, a rhythm learned through experience rather than rules. Along these roads, small shops display hand-woven baskets, batik fabrics, and wooden carvings. Craftspeople work in open workshops, chiseling intricate designs into teak or painting delicate patterns on canvas. The tourist influence is clear, some designs are made to catch the eye of visitors, but many are simply part of a tradition that has been handed down for generations. And then there are the rice fields. Even as Sangu develops, pockets of green remain, stretching out in perfect, geometric rows. Farmers in wide-brimmed hats tend to the paddies, their feet sinking into the wet soil as they plant or harvest. Ducks wander freely among the fields, part of a centuries-old system that keeps pests under control. The sound of the fields is different from the coast, quieter, softer, broken only by the rustle of stalks in the breeze or the distant call of a bird. Daily life also has its moments of pause. In the heat of the afternoon, activity slows. Shopkeepers sit in the shade, sipping sweet tea. Children ride bicycles in small circles on quiet lanes. Even the dogs, usually so full of movement, curl up in patches of shadow to sleep. Then, as the sun begins to drop, energy returns. The streets grow livelier, the calls of market sellers rise again, and the air fills with the smell of evening meals being prepared. Sangu's local life is not static. Change comes in small but constant steps. New buildings rise, often side by side with older homes. International visitors bring fresh ideas, some of which blend easily with the local rhythm, others that stand apart. Yet the core, the offerings, the ceremonies, the shared meals, the rice fields, remains. These are the anchors that hold the place steady, even as its edges shift. To understand Sangu fully is to accept that it exists in this balance, the old and the new, the quiet and the busy, the sacred and the casual. One moment, you might be sitting in a temple courtyard listening to the soft murmur of prayers, the next, you're back on a scooter weaving past cafes playing pop music and beach clubs preparing for a party. The contrast is not a conflict, it is the shape of life here, a blend that has become its own tradition. For the visitor, these layers reveal themselves gradually. The first days might be filled with beaches and cafes. But in time, you begin to notice the quieter details, the way people pause before stepping over an offering, the care taken to arrange flowers in a certain pattern, the sense of pride in a well-tended rice paddy. These moments become as memorable as any sunset or surf session. In Sangu, local life is not something that exists only in the background. It is the thread that runs through everything, the reason the place feels alive rather than staged. Whether you're here for a week or a season, you can't help but feel its pull, drawing you into its rhythm, until the boundaries between observer and participant begin to fade. In Sangu, the day does not end when the sun begins to fall. If anything, this is the moment it gathers itself for a second act. The late afternoon light is unlike any other, warm and liquid, turning the ocean into a shifting canvas of golden fire. The black sand, still warm from the day, mirrors the sky in patches where the tide has receded, doubling the beauty. People gather for this performance. Some bring blankets, settling into the sand as if preparing for a film to start. Others choose the beanbag chairs lined up in front of beachfront bars, drinks already sweating in the humid air. Couples walk slowly at the water's edge, leaving footprints that vanish almost instantly under the next wave. Children chase one another through the shallows, their laughter carrying over the low rumble of the surf. For the surfers, sunset marks the last call. They paddle hard for one final ride, boards slicing across the golden water, spray catching the light in bright halos. The horizon swallows the sun slowly, as if reluctant to let go, and for a few minutes the world seems suspended, the light soft, the air still, every detail heightened. Cameras rise everywhere, trying to capture what the eye sees, but the lens can only approximate. When the last sliver of sun disappears, the sky doesn't darken immediately. Instead, it deepens, shifting from orange to rose to violet, until finally the first hints of night begin to settle. The beach transforms with it. Lanterns and string lights flicker on, casting soft pools of light across tables and pathways. Music begins to rise, sometimes a lone acoustic guitar, sometimes a full DJ set spilling bass and rhythm out toward the water. Sangu's nightlife is as varied as its days. Along Bata Bolong, you can step into sleek beach clubs where international DJs command the crowd, the dance floor moving like a single organism under strobe lights. A few steps away, there might be a warung serving grilled corn brushed with chili butter. It's sea. Seating just a row of plastic chairs facing the sea. Both are equally at home here, both drawing their own loyal visitors. In the bars, conversations start easily. Travelers swap stories of their journeys, where they've been, where they're going next, while locals share tips on the best hidden spots for tomorrow's surf or sunrise. The atmosphere is relaxed, even in the busiest places. There's a sense that the night is not something to rush, that there will always be time for one more drink, one more song, one more shared story. Food weaves into the evening as seamlessly as it does into the day. At roadside stalls, vendors flip skewers over small grills, the smoke carrying the scent of sweet soy and garlic. Pizza ovens blaze in open kitchens, sending fresh, hot slices to tables under fairy lights. Plates of sauté arrive balanced on small charcoal braziers, the heat keeping the meat sizzling until the last bite. Not all of Sangu's night belongs to music and crowds. Walk away from the main strips and the sound changes. The roads grow quieter, the air cooler. In the rice fields, frogs begin their low chorus, and the stars emerge one by one above the palm trees. Here, the only light comes from the occasional porch or a single motorbike passing in the distance. This is Sangu's other nightlife, the part that belongs to those who prefer stillness over spectacle. For those who stay by the coast, the night carries on in layers. Around one corner, a reggae band might be playing barefoot on a small stage, their songs blending with the crash of waves. Around another, a late-night café glows warmly, serving coffee to night owls and early risers alike. And somewhere in between, the small groups sit in circles on the sand, the light from their phones casting pale halos on their faces as they share photos, videos, and quiet conversation. There is no single way the night ends here. For some, it's with a slow walk home under the stars, the echo of music fading behind them. For others, it's hours later, stepping out of a crowded bar into the cooler air, the horizon already showing the faintest hint of dawn. And for a few, it ends exactly where it began, by the water, watching the waves under the moonlight, feeling the same steady pull that shapes every day in Sangu. In the end, the nightlife here is not just about the parties or the music. It's about the way the village transforms after dark, showing a different side of itself without losing the character that makes it unique. The same openness that defines the days, the easy smiles, the mix of cultures, the shared spaces, carries into the night. Whether you're surrounded by hundreds of people dancing under neon lights or sitting alone listening to the ocean, you feel connected to something larger than yourself. As the night finally tips toward morning, Sangu exhales. The music quiets, the lights dim, and the streets grow still. Somewhere, the first scooters of the day start their engines. The smell of coffee begins to drift from the early opening cafés. And out on the horizon, the faintest line of gold begins to break through, promising another day, another chance to ride the waves, taste the food, join the ceremonies, and watch the sun dip into the ocean all over again.
If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe.